Hello and welcome back to Nibblepop. Today we are going to discuss the short story Thakurs Well by Munshi Premchand. Before going into the story, I will first discuss a little bit about Premchand and then we will go to a line-by-line discussion of the story. We will get all the relevant word meanings alongside my video as well as in a PDF where I will also provide you with some important short questions from this story. I will try to explain the story in very simple, easy language so that all of you can understand it very well. If you still have any problems in understanding or you want to discuss something else about the story, do write in the comment section. In the meantime, do subscribe to my channel, that will support us. Premchand was born in 1880. His name was actually Dhanpat Rai Srivastava. He grew up in extreme poverty and surprisingly, he married a child widow against usual social conventions. So we understand that he was a man with very liberal thoughts and he was a kind of a visionary. He had this government job which he left in around 1920 when Mahatma Gandhi started the non-cooperation movement. And after that, he engaged with literary works. He wrote a number of stories and novels, both in Hindi and Urdu, and is now considered to be one of the greatest writers of Indian subcontinent. In this story, Thakurs Well, we will see a very simple story about a village woman and how she gets treated because of being born in a low caste. In India, we know the caste system is very rigid. And in those days when Premchand was writing, people used to have very strong feelings about caste. A person of the higher caste would not touch the water which is touched by a person belonging to a lower caste. Sadly, this is something which still exists in many parts of India where the Dalits and the marginalized people, they are constantly harassed and subjugated by people belonging to the higher caste of society. So let us begin reading the story. As Jokhu brought the lota to his lips to drink, the water gave off a nasty smell. So Jokhu, he belongs to this Dalit caste and he is trying to drink water from a lota. Lota is an Indian word. It means a kalash or a tumbler from where you drink water. So when he wanted to drink this water, he had this smell coming from it. He said to Gangi, Gangi is his wife, "What kind of water is this? It smells so horrible." So the water which Jokhu was trying to drink was not pure water. "I can't drink it. My throat's dry and you are making me drink this foul water." So somehow Jokhu was not well. He wanted to drink water, but because that water was so putrid and so polluted, he could not drink it. Gangi used to store up water in the evening. Now, usually in villages, you don't have the system of tap water running 24 hours a day. You have to go to a well and then you have to store that water. So what Gangi did, she used to store up water in the evening. The well was far away. Usually there were limited number of wells in a village from where you could get water. And out of those wells, maybe only one was allotted for the people belonging to this Dalit class or the so-called lower class of people. And nobody would draw water from that Dalit's well. And these Dalit people, they did not have any right to go and get water from the wells which belonged to the Brahmins and the Kshatriyas and the higher class of people. So Gangi used to store up water in the evening. The well was far away and it was difficult to walk the distance again and again. So she used to store the water. The water she had brought yesterday was good. What could have gone wrong today? Now we all know that in these kinds of wells, sometimes animals They fall into these wells, they die, and the water becomes polluted. And there are these pollutants which are present there. So maybe the water which she brought yesterday was fine, but today's water was not okay. She wondered. She brought the lota to her nose. So she tried to smell that water. Yes, it was stinking. Stinking means it gave off a bad smell. An animal must have fallen into the well and drowned. So that water was totally destroyed. But from where would she get water now? No one would let her mount the Thakurs well. So Thakurs are usually the zamindars or the influential people of a village. Even now you hear about Thakurs, they are the big guys in a village who command authority, who are very rich, and people are scared of them because they have so much power. Thakur has a well in his house, but because it belongs to the higher class, therefore Dalits are not allowed to go and take water from there. So no one would let her mount the Thakurs well. They would drive her away from a distance. So even if they saw her near Thakurs well, they would chase her away because that will pollute their water if a Dalit touches the well. Shahuji's well, that is another well. Shahuji's well was at the other end of the village, but who would let her draw water from there? And there was no fourth well in the village. So Shahuji's well, Thakurs well, all these wells were out of bounds, were not allowed to these people, and there was no fourth well. Joko had been ill for many days, so her husband couldn't get up. Though thirsty, he kept quiet for some time. Then he said, I can't hold my thirst anymore. Come, I'll squeeze my nose and drink a little bit. Gangi didn't let him. She knew that drinking this unsafe water would aggravate his illness. Aggravate means increase. So if he drank that water, it will only make him more sick. But she didn't know that boiling would make it safe for drinking. So you see, the problem with village people is that they do not understand some scientific facts. If she was not so ignorant, if she had a little bit of knowledge, she would know that if she boiled that impure water, then that water would get purified. Maybe the smell wouldn't go, but it would be safe for drinking. But she didn't know that. So she was helpless. She said, how can you drink this water? God knows what animal it was. I'll bring water from somewhere. And she has to do it because her husband, he's really suffering, and she loves her husband. Joko looked at her with surprise. Where will you bring it from? So there is no possibility that you will be able to get it from Thakurs. You will get only broken arms and legs, nothing else. Sit quietly. The Brahmin will bless you with curses. The Thakur wielded his lathi. So Shahuji, who is the Brahmin, if you go to his well, he will curse you. If you go to Thakur's well, his henchmen will beat you up. And Shahuji charged 5 for one. So Shahuji will be charging a lot of money if you go to his well. No one feels our pain. So this is how Premchand is painting the picture of rural India at the time when he was writing. And surprisingly, this is a picture which is still the reality in many of our Indian villages. No one feels our pain. Even when we die, no one comes to see, least of all to lend his shoulder to the bier. Bier means the structure on which you place the dead body. So when a Dalit person, he dies, then you don't have people coming in to help with the funeral. Will such people let you draw water? This was the bitter truth. Gangi kept quiet, but she did not let him drink the stinking water. So she was careful that he didn't drink it. It was 9 o'clock in the night. The exhausted laborers had gone to sleep. So the laborers were tired, exhausted by their day's work, and they were sleeping. But a few idlers were gathered outside the Thakurs' door. Idlers are people who spend time not doing much, so they are not exhausted, and they were sitting in a scattered way in front of Thakurs' door. The times and opportunities means scope or the right moment for showing valor in the battlefield were now gone. Now, usually these zamindars or these Thakurs, they kept these people, these henchmen who guarded the zamindar's palace. And in earlier days, there used to be battles and wars where they used to fight. But now that everything was under the government's rule, these people didn't have any battles to fight. So what they fought in? They fought legal battles. So instead of fighting on the battlefield, they fought in the Adalat. They were talking of battles won in the law courts. How the Thakur had bribed the Thanedar means the police in charge, and saved his skin. So in these statements, you understand the kind of social picture which Premchand is painting for you. So you see an India which is getting corrupted, and people who are corrupt, people who are gullible to bribery, people who are not able to do anything heroic in their lives. How cleverly he had obtained the copy of a landmark court judgment. The Nazir and other court officials had said that a copy couldn't be given. So they were talking about the different kinds of shortcuts that this Thakur took to gain something for his business, something for his properties. It was then Gangi arrived to draw water from the well. So while they were discussing all these things, Gangi came there silently, and it was more or less a dark place. A faint light from the street oil lamp was falling on the well. Gangi came and sat close to the platform around the well, sheltering herself. So she was trying to keep herself safe and waited for an opportunity. What opportunity? That these people, they go away, because if anybody sees her drawing water from that well, they are going to come and beat her up. Everyone drank from this well. They alone, the ill-fated, were forbidden. So this word forbidden means when somebody does not allow something to someone. So everybody was allowed to drink water from this well except the Dalit people, except the Harijans. Gangi's rebellious heart. Rebellious means somebody who wants to revolt against something, speak out against something, act against something. So she wanted to rebel, began to hit out at the traditional society's restrictions and compulsions. So the society harasses the marginalized people. Marginalized means people who sit on the margins of society. They are not in the center of society. So these margin people, they receive these restrictions, these harassments on the day-to-day basis. Gangi wanted to rebel against it. What makes us low and them high? Just because they are wearing a string around their necks. Now usually the Brahmins and the high caste people, they wear this white thread around their neck, and that makes them, the chosen people, chosen by God to command over other people. So is it because they are wearing that thread, so they are superior to us? So Gangi is questioning these things which usually the Dalits are not allowed to ask. All these people are so crooked. Earlier we have seen that the Thakur, he bribes people, and he takes all these crooked paths to success. So why is he better than me? Gangi is thinking. They steal, they cheat, they file false cases against others. Only the other day the Thakur poached the shepherd's sheep and then slaughtered and ate it up. And this Panditji's house is a round-the-year den of gamblers. And this very Shahuji adulterates ghee. Adulterates means when you mix something with something pure and turn it into something impure. So that is milawat, as we call in Hindi. So Shahuji adulterates ghee with oil. So he adds oil to ghee to increase the quantity and make profit. They make us labor for them. So we work for them. We do hard work, but don't want to pay for it. But they don't give us payment. So who is cheating? Who is sinner? Why are they superior and why am I a Dalit? So she has all these questions in her mind, although she is an uneducated woman. So these questions are born out of her misery. In what way are they higher than us? In swaggering, yes. We don't go shouting in the streets like them that we are superior. So they brag. they have this huge high voice saying that they are commanding everybody. Whenever I walk through the village, they look at me with lusting eyes. So Gangi is possibly a good looking woman, and they might not touch the water which she touches, but they want to touch her body, which she can understand from their eyes. Lustful means when you have sexual desire for somebody. So she feels bad because people gaze at her, although they won't allow her to drink water from their wells. Yet they pride themselves on their superiority. So they are superior despite all their crimes, despite all their lowliness. Anyway, she was thinking all this, and then she heard the sound of footsteps at the well. So somebody was coming near the well. Thumping means when your heart beats very fast and you are scared. Hell would break loose if she was seen. Hell would break loose means something really bad will happen to her. She picked up the pitcher. Pitcher is that earthen water container in which you carry water. She picked up the pitcher and the rope, and bending herself low, walked away towards a tree and hid herself in its dark shadow. So she went a bit away from the scene. They never show anyone any mercy, and they had beaten up poor Mangu so badly that he had kept spitting blood for months just because he had refused to work without being paid. So whenever these Dalits raise voice against any kind of injustice, when they are not paid for their work, then they are rewarded with beatings and they do not get any justice at all. And they are higher, and they do these kinds of injustices, and they are considered to be higher. Two women had come to the well to draw water. They were talking. Now these two women, they belong to the higher class of people, and they are possibly Thakurs wife and people of his household. They have come in to eat and have ordered us to bring fresh water. So the men who were outside Thakurs door, maybe they have decided to take dinner, and they wanted the women of the house to go out and fetch water. Now here you see a very fine thing happening, that even in high class people, you have this distinct difference in position. The position of the men and the position of the women. So the women, although they belong to this higher class society or higher caste society, they are ordered to work, again without any kind of reward. These men become agitated. Agitated means angry, if they find us resting for a while. So if you are a woman, then no matter where you are, whether you are a Dalit woman or you are not from a Dalit background, you will be harassed by society. Interestingly, we see that from the picture we have of this domestic world of Jokhu and Gangi, there we see that Gangi has a much better relationship with her husband than these women have with the men in their houses. So interestingly, in the Dalit family, the women's position is better than the position of women in high class society. So this is hinted at here. What Premchand does, he makes all these small little references to the existing conditions. They didn't have the decency to come here and draw water by themselves. They only know to give orders, as if we were their bondwomen. So in this rich family, women are ordered about. What else are you if not a bondwoman? Don't you get food and clothing, and you snatch a few rupees from them off and on? How are bondwomen different? So the position of women in these high society houses is also questioned here. Don't insult me, sister. I am not able to relax even for a short while. Had I labored like this at another's household, life would have been a lot easier. So she is complaining, Thakur's wife possibly, that if she worked the way she is working in her own house, if she worked in some other person's house, she would actually get paid and would be better off. So these are very heart-touching instances. And he would have been grateful too. Grateful means when you feel good towards somebody because they have done something for you. So she says that if I was a maid servant at somebody's house, They will feel grateful. They will reward me. But I am working for my own family and they don't have any recognition. Kill yourself with work, yet no one is pleased. So these two women, who again represent this higher class of people, they converse, and while they are talking, Gangi is hiding. After they go away, what happens? I'll just skip a few lines. Gangi heaved a sigh of relief. So Gangi was relieved that they were gone. Those men were also not there. The coast seemed clear now. Coast clear means when there is no obstruction. She can easily go and get that water. Even the prince who had gone to steal Amrita, Amrit is that special heavenly drink which makes you immortal. So there is this prince who went to steal Amrit. So he was very afraid because if the gods find out, the gods will kill him. Similarly, Gangi was afraid that water was like Amrit to her because it was forbidden to her and it was very useful to her. It was very vital for her husband and herself. So she is comparing her position to the position of the prince who would have gone to steal Amrit. Gangi treaded the edge of the well with soft steps. So she was very careful so that she doesn't wake anybody up, disturb anybody up. Seldom had she experienced such a sense of triumph. Triumph means victory, when you win something. So when she reached that end of the well where she could draw water from, she felt like she has won something, a victory, a triumph. She looped one end of the rope round the pitcher's neck. So she tied that rope to the pitcher. She peered to her right and left. Peer means when you look, sideways to both sides to make sure that nobody is watching. Like a soldier readying himself to pierce the enemy's defenses. Just like a soldier is waiting to, enter into the fight. She is also ready to drop that pitcher into the well. If she were caught now, there would be no mercy at all because she had already touched the well. At last invoking the gods, praying to the gods, fortifying her heart. So fortify means when you make your heart strong. She's trying to build up her confidence. She lowered the pitcher into the well. So she dropped the pitcher slowly into the well to bring up the water. The pitcher sank into the water gently, making no sound. Gangi pulled the rope up quickly and the pitcher came up on the top. So she pulled that up. Even a powerful wrestler couldn't have drawn up the pitcher so swiftly. So a wrestler is a person who fights and they have a lot of strength. But here, the way Gangi pulls that water up, she does it with more power than a wrestler has. This shows the urgency in her. She wants to get that water very quickly. Gangi leaned forward to catch the pitcher, rested on the edge of the well. Just then the Thakurs' door opened suddenly. A lion's look could not have been more terrifying than this sound. The rope slipped through her hands and the pitcher went hurtling down the well and hit the water with a loud thud. So she was holding the pitcher and the rope, just looking at Thakur. When he opened his door, Gangi felt that now she will be caught, beaten up, and out of her fear, she let go of that pitcher, which was so important for her. The Thakur was advancing towards the well, shouting, "Who is there? Who is there?" And Gangi, jumping from the well's platform, so from the top of that well, she jumped down, was running furiously. She was running very fast. When she reached home, she found Joku drinking the dirty water from the lota. So you remember that water in the lota, in that tumbler, which was stinking. And while she was gone, Joku could not tolerate his thirst and had no option but to drink that polluted water. So this was a kind of a failure, which was the reality of all these Dalit people who suffered through these restrictions, suffered through these brutal torture of the society. So when we read this story, we get this picture of an Indian village, which is like a microcosm. Microcosm means when something is a symbol of a bigger thing. So this one incident is symbolic of all those incidents which were happening against the Dalits. All these incidents which were happening because of the caste system that was part of the Indian tradition down the centuries. This was the system against which the great men and women of India have voiced out, and this is how Premchand voiced out in his writings. So I hope you have understood the story, and if you have any suggestions or comments to make, please write them in the comment section. It was a pleasure being with you. Hope to see you all very soon again with another story. So till then, bye-bye.